Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and the ice is gonna break! Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. I'm just dreaming about Christopher Walken in a pea coat.
Hot. You're dorking out about 1983's The Dead Zone, based on the book by Stephen King, which I assume Margo has read because she loves Stephen King. You love him.
I do.
It's a script, but
I'd marry him if I could.
I get it. He seems like I'm like, he's a delight on Twitter, and I'm sure he's quite loyal to his wife, though, I believe. Yes.
I'm not breaking up any family. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just saying.
You're all just saying.
Putting it out there.
The screenplay is written by Jeffrey Boehm, and this guy's no slouch for screenplays. He did Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and Inner Space, which is on our list.
Oh, yeah.
He did The Lost Boys, which we love. Mm-hmm. And it's directed by David Cronenberg, who before this had done Scanners and Videodrome. I think Scanners is that one with that really gross thing where the dude's head explodes. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, Sonia, that's pretty much what Scanners is.
Yeah, it's gross. He also did The Fly, which is really good, and Dead Ringers, creepy. Basically, movies that give me the creeps. That's what David Cronenberg is.
That's what Cronenberg is known for.
That is what he is known for. This movie is not as gross. I guess gross is the word I'm looking for, as those movies.
No, but it's cold.
It's very cold. That's a great way to describe it. It stars Christopher Walken, Brooke Adams, Tom Skerritt, and Martin Sheen playing a really evil dude. Did you do this one already for book versus movie?
Yes, long time ago.
Yeah.
But it was when Margo was moving, so we did a bonus up with Dina from Twisted Philly.
Oh, yeah.
And Dina and I could not get over Christopher Walken in a pea coat. That's all we kept saying. Because he is so goddamn dreamy post-coma with a limp.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they make him really dorky at first. And then...
Oh, he's so dorky.
He's such a dork. And I think he's a virgin. I think he's like... Well, we'll talk about the plot in a second. But if you think of Christopher Walken as just kind of a big weirdo, or if you're really young and you think of him as kind of old, to see him, I think, at his hottest, it's kind of wow. Yeah,
I think people forget that, before Christopher Walken was Christopher Walken, he can be such a caricature of himself now.
Sure.
But I mean, he's a really, really good actor, and he's a very handsome man. And I'm trying. Who's the other person I'm thinking? Jeff Goldblum's another one where it's like before he was Jeff Goldblum, before he became like a caricature of himself. Jeff Goldblum did a shit ton of movies, and he was really good in them. But some people kind of transcend that and become a whole thing. Like people do Christopher Walken impressions, like he's very special.
He's a thing. And there's a bunch of people do, like you said, that do the Christopher Walken impressions. And also Christopher Walken has done several Saturday Night Live sketches, that are just indelible. Like they're so funny. He's so willing to laugh at himself.
Yes.
You think he's going to take himself too seriously, and he's not. And he also can dance.
Yes.
On top of everything, he's an excellent dancer.
Yes, go watch the Fatboy Slim video he did.
Yes.
It's so amazing to see him dancing. And I'm trying the SNL sketch, where he did the Continental.
Well, I'm also thinking of We Need More Cowbell.
We Need More Cowbell. That's a good one. The Continental really makes me laugh because it's all like from it's a camera's point of view. Like the camera is a woman who's basically trying to get away from him, and he's being a creep. He's like blocking the door and like trying to like get her to stay, and it's just very, very funny. I'm going to assume you did not see The Dead Zone in the theater because we were kids when this came out.
No, I wouldn't have. But I'm sure I read the book.
Yeah.
And I begged my mom to go with me, and she was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. So I'm sure I saw it probably on VHS. It would have to be that.
So
and it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that I thought I had seen, and I told you before we started recording, I have not seen it. Like, I'd seen parts of it. I don't know if I'm mixing it up with another movie in my head, so this was basically a first-time watch for me, and I really, really liked it. I thought it was really, really great, and he's great in it.
Yeah.
It's so good. Let's go through it.
Yeah.
Let's go through it. So he, at the beginning of the movie, is a high school teacher, and he's a total dork.
Yeah.
Like, they're reading Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and then he's telling them to go on to Sleepy Hollow. And he's got like kind of almost like a bowl cut.
It's like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Saying there's a chance. He's wearing that bowl cut haircut, and he's just being a doofus, and you just want to like give him a makeover.
Yes.
And he's dating a fellow teacher, Brooke Adams.
Yes.
Yes, and she's beautiful.
She's adorable. Everybody drink.
And they're having a fling, and
they're in love.
They're in love, and I guess they haven't had sex yet. They're going on a date, and they're on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And it brings up, he gets a headache and I would get this too. He gets a headache from the roller coaster.
Same. That's why I don't ride roller coasters.
That's why I don't ride them anymore. And then they go home back to her place, and she's inviting him in to stay the night. And he says, no.
Not tonight, honey. I've got a headache.
I've really got a headache. And she's, why don't you just stay and just stay, because you don't look good.
Yeah.
And he says, no, I really need to get back home. It'll be special. When it happens, it'll be special. You get the idea that they haven't had sex yet.
Yeah, he says, like, some things are worth waiting for.
Right. And you're like, has he never done it before? Because what is he, like 30? I mean, how old is he?
Yeah, I'm like, he must have done something. Come on.
Hand job? I mean, it's not anyway. That's beside the point. That's neither here nor there.
He's finger banging people to,
exactly.
I want to know what love is by Foreigner or something.
Exactly. He's felt over the bra, right? Anyway.
He's at least got to second base.
Right. So he gets back into his little Beetle, his little Volkswagen Beetle, I think. Or
yes.
He's in a little car, and he's driving back home late at night. And something's going to happen because there's a truck driver falling asleep in his truck.
Yes.
And the truck he falls asleep, and the truck, what is that?
It's milk.
It's milk, and it falls apart. Like the truck just falls apart.
Yes.
In the middle of the road, and his car hits it, and then he wakes up, and he's been in a coma for 5 years.
Milk does not do the body good in this case.
No.
It puts
no
him
milk mustache here.
No, it puts him in a coma for 5 years.
He wakes up, and his parents are there, and he's basically told, you're going to be okay eventually.
Yeah.
But it's been 5 years. Here are your parents. Your girlfriend got married. You're no longer a teacher. You're going to be in a wheelchair for a while. You'll eventually walk, but you'll have a limp.
Yeah.
But other than that, so you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
And Johnny's kind of like, aw, okay. He's
such a good he is a good person. Like,
he's such a good person.
He really is. And like, I felt so bad for him. I wrote in my notes, like, how crazy that he's gone for 5 years. But to him, it was just yesterday. And him and Sarah were like super happy and in love. And, they were talking about getting married. And then he wakes up and she's married to someone else with a kid. And I'm like, that must be bananas. Like, I don't even know how you would deal with that. And I feel so bad for him. And she shows up and she still super loves him.
Yeah, she feels terrible. I mean, because what is they told her they're not sure if he's ever going to wake up.
Right.
What his cognitive abilities are going to be, if he's ever going to be able to talk or anything. So she didn't know.
She said, like, I would have waited. Like, I should have waited for you, if because she really loves him. It's really sad.
It's sad for everybody. It's
Yeah.
sad for his parents. They lost all that time and they were worried about him the whole time. And so he wakes up and he realizes, and he's a little angry, but he's got to he's trying to recoup his life and try to figure things out. And he gets very close with his doctor, and his doctor is a Polish man who came to America when he was young. And he lived through World War II. And we find out that Johnny has this ESP ability. When he talks to people, when he touches people, he can read their past. He can read their present. He can see if people are in danger. He can figure things out when they're in danger. He touches his doctor's arm, and he realizes that his doctor in World War II, his village was invaded in Poland. He and his mother were separated, and he was taken to America, and he thought his mother was killed, but Johnny somehow knows that his mother's alive and that he should talk to her. And that it's so weird because the doctor doesn't talk. He calls her.
Yeah, he calls and he
chickens out. He doesn't know what to say, which I hope he calls her back. I'm like, well, maybe he just flipped out that day. Maybe he'll call her back.
Let's write our own version where where he calls her again later.
Because he mourned her for 40 years, right? And then all of a sudden, but Johnny realizes that happened. Then the next day or so, there's a nurse that comes into his room. He touches her arm, and then then all of a sudden, he's in a bedroom that's on fire, and that's her daughter Amy. And he says, Amy, her room's on fire. And for some reason, her daughter Amy is in a room by herself, and it's on fire, and she's at work.
Yeah.
And he's like, get your ass home. Your daughter's on fire.
Yeah, she seems kind of young to be home alone, but
and nobody's calling the fire department, but she gets home in time.
Yeah.
And Amy's fine.
Phew.
And Johnny, and so I did read the book. Obviously I've read the book, but anyway, what happens with the dead zone is that there used to be this thinking that we only used 5% of our brains or 9% of our brains. We've been told this. It's not true. Well, I've wondered that, but
some people,
but that there's a part of his brain that goes into a dead zone, and that he is utilizing that zone now. But the problem with it is that it drains his body of energy.
Yes.
So he can do this thing, but then it drains him. And he's also a person that doesn't like it. It's Castle Rock, Maine. It's that Stephen King world. So he's not like, Mr. I love attention. Please pay attention to me. Like he's a school teacher. He just wants to hang out, right?
Yeah.
Just wants a normal life.
He wants a normal life. And also, but nobody in Castle Rock really has a normal life. Now, do they?
They
all have
Dolores Claiborne.
Yeah, they all have, killer dogs and whatever happens in Needful Things in the dark half.
Yeah. So we'll get to them. Eventually. So there's this thing that comes out in the media that, wow, there's this guy who predicted this woman's daughter's, almost death, but saves her daughter's life. So there's a smart ass reporter. There's a press conference, and Johnny's in the press conference, and there's this smart ass reporter is like, hey, who's going to win the next election? And that's when we found out there's a guy named Greg Stilson.
Yes.
And let's just call him Donald Trump, because basically
he totally is. I read an interview after watching the movie where Martin Sheen and David Cronenberg were like, obviously, like, you watch it now and realize that this guy is basically Donald Trump. It's pretty crazy. He is not Jeb Bartlett from The West Wing in this movie. He's a shitty person.
He's a third party candidate. And he's somebody that's breaking up the system, and he's about the average man, and he's gonna
make America great again.
Make America great again. I mean, all these like buzzwords, putting money in your pocket and stick it to the man and all this shit. And so this guy asks him, well, is he going to win the election? Is he going to be senator for our state? And Johnny's like, I don't know who that is. I've been in a coma for 5 years. What the fuck are you talking about?
Reporter's like, what, have you been in a coma for 5 years? How do you not? Oh, wait, you have.
Oh, wait. So, and Johnny goes, I don't know. And he goes, well, how did you find out about Amy? And he said, I can find out when I touch somebody's hand or their arm, that's how I do it. And so the guy comes right up to Johnny, goes, well, touch my hand. Tell me what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so Johnny, and he just kind of grabs Johnny's hand, and Johnny goes, oh, your sister committed suicide, and she did this and this and this. And then the guy freaks out.
Yeah.
And then
shouldn't be a prick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
You know, fucked around, found out.
Found
right?
out. I will say one of the things that I like this movie. And I also really like that people are quick to believe him.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate, because I fucking hate it in movies where like nobody believes them for like a really long time and we're waiting for everyone in the movie to catch up where we are. I'm like, come on. Just believe him so we can fucking move on. So they're pretty quick to believe him, and I'm like, thank God.
And what happens at the same time that this scene happens, and it's on camera, so it's a press conference, so it's not just print journalists, there's TV journalists. His poor mother has a heart attack and dies watching this on TV. And so poor Johnny like loses his mother, and a cop comes over. It's Tom Skerritt. And do you ever see that video clip? It was shoes, and the guy's like, shoes, and it was, oh my God, shoes. Do you remember this? Talking about? Okay.
No.
It was a viral clip, and at the top of the clip was this guy who dresses like a woman, and she's all about getting shoes, and he has these parents, and the father is talking about stocks and good American things, and the mother's thinking about Tom Skerritt. And every time I see Tom Skerritt, I just think of that clip. Tom Skerritt. I'll send it to you later. Anyway.
Okay. Tom Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt. Young Tom Skerritt. So he comes in, and he's a sheriff. And there's been a serial killer, and they can't find out who it is. And he's like, you've got some kind of gift. We're completely freaking out. We don't know what to do. Can you help us? And he's like, I don't know how I can help you. And it's just killed my mother, whatever I've got, and I can't deal with it. And he's trying to guilt him into doing it. You know, all these people. And he's like, look at these bags of mail that I get. This is too much for me.
Yeah. Again, like nice person, so much empathy for everyone around him. He wants to help people, but it comes at a cost, like a physical cost to him. And he can't, he literally can't do it all. And he does want that, but he doesn't want to be treated like a sideshow freak either.
Right.
I really like this character. I think he's very interesting.
And one of the best things about it is like his name is Johnny Smith. Like it's a very average name.
Yeah. He could be
anybody. But I think that's a good choice. Yeah, because that's like, it could be anybody. Meanwhile, his old girlfriend just shows up one day with her son.
Yeah.
And she's like, we got some unfinished business.
She's like,
it's business.
She's got her business socks on. And she's like, haven't we waited long enough? And I'm like, okay.
And they're like, boom, chicka cow, wow.
Little kid is sleeping.
And good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. But he also like, and it's very, again, like super sweet. She loves him, and what a confusing place they're in. But she also says like, you're not going to see me again like this, meaning we're not going to fuck again, basically. And like, and he's so brokenhearted. Like, it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. And he can't handle anything. And so he tells his father, I got to move out for a while. I'm sorry to leave you, but this is all just too much attention. I need to take a break. And his dad says, okay, you do that. So Johnny moves to a different town, and he was an English teacher. Now he's a tutor.
Yes.
And so kids come over and he tutors them, and he walks with a cane now, and he still keeps in touch with the doctor, and they have that discussion. If you could go back in time and kill Hitler, would you do it? Because he has this ability. Yeah. He's sort of like, what do I do with it? Because it wears him out. And anyway.
First we do have to mention that he does help them catch the serial killer. Because there is like a whole gross thing where like, well, first of all, he touches a murdered woman and.
Well, I was just getting into that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So he does help Tom Skerritt, they go to one crime scene because it's a really good reveal.
Yeah.
They go to a crime scene and he just finds a pack of cigarettes and he holds it and like he gets no feeling from it. And it just so happens they're like, "Hey, we found another body." And they're like, "Holy shit." So they go running over and there's this body and it's a gazebo and it's in Niagara Falls, New York, which they built for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kept it there. So people get married and they take their pictures at this gazebo.
Seems like a weird place to get married.
I'd do it. Are you kidding?
What are you, Charles Adams?
Yeah, I would totally do it. Are you kidding me? But Johnny, they have the victim there. And so Johnny goes over and holds her hand
Mm-hmm.
and is able to see who killed her. And it turns out it's one of the cops.
Yeah.
And it's the deputy. And so he goes back to the deputy's house. The deputy takes off with Tom Skerritt's car. Tom Skerritt takes off in his car. So they go to his house, deputy's house, and it's Colleen Dewhurst.
Mm-hmm.
And Colleen Dewhurst and Tom Skerritt were in ice castles together. It all adds up.
I haven't seen Ice Castles since I was a kid.
We need that on the list, maybe for the winter. Yeah.
All right.
We got to do it. So they go to the house and he's looking around the house and it turns out like this deputy has been killing all these women and he realizes that the mother's been hiding him and been covering for him this whole time.
What a good mom.
She's a fucking weirdo.
She is a fucking weirdo.
He holds onto her arm and he's like, you knew he did it.
Yeah.
You covered for him. So the deputy kills himself in the most disgusting manner possible.
That's there's the Cronenberg effect. Like, it's so gross. I totally like had my hand up. I was like, ew, blocking the screen.
Chilling.
Yeah, he's got some scissors and he's just like falls on it in his mouth.
Yeah. And Colleen Dewhurst then takes her gun out and starts shooting at Johnny. And Johnny's like, Johnny goes home and he lives.
Yeah.
And he goes home and tells his dad, all right, I need a break. So his dad says, noted. Okay. So he goes out and then he's staying in this new town. He's a tutor. And that's where he meets Adrian Zwerb. What's his last name?
Yeah, Zerbe. Zerbe.
Who's the villain in Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. And he's the local rich guy.
Yes.
And he has a son, and all we know about him is that he's hard to reach. We don't really know.
Yeah,
he's shy.
He's very shy.
He's very shy, and he's not doing as well in school or socially. And he's like, he wants Johnny to meet him, and he says he comes highly recommended. So Johnny goes out, and when he goes out to his house, Greg Stilson's in the house first. And that's Martin Sheen, and Martin Sheen's a politician, and he has some super sleazy guy.
Oh my God.
As his,
bodyguard
/ assistant. And you're like, this is absurd. No one would be like this. And it's totally like this now. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. And he's like handing out buttons and like, I need your help. I need your vote. I need your money. Blah,
need your
blah,
money.
Blah. And Stilson is a real piece of work. And then he leaves the house and then they start talking and he's like, look out for this guy. He's dangerous.
Yeah. The wealthy guy, Roger Stewart, the character, he's not a bad guy. Like he's rich. He certainly has Greg Stilson pegged. But he hires Johnny Smith to like tutor his son, and Chris and Johnny Stewart do form like a nice little bond, and he's tutoring him, and it seems like it's really working out. But then he touches him and has a vision of him and some other boys, like they're drowning in a frozen pond.
Right. They're going to be, so he gets a bad feel. First, they watch on television Stilson like do a press event, and he gets a bad feeling about him. And he explains to him like, "Yeah, watch out for this guy. He's a bozo. He's bad news.
Bozo.
He's running as a He's a clown. He says something like that, but he says, yeah.
Bozo is not used nearly enough. I'm bringing back Bozo.
It's because it's appropriate. And then he also so Johnny and the kid like are getting along. And then one day Johnny's talking to the kid. He touches the kid's shoulder and he sees him falling through ice. And then he sees other kids falling through ice. And it's the dad wants him to go out and play ice hockey. And Johnny says, whatever you do, do not play ice hockey because you're going to fall through the ice. So the kid says to his dad, Johnny says, we can't fall through the ice. And the dad says, that's absurd. Of course you're going to fall through the ice. Of course we're going to play ice hockey. That's stupid. And then Johnny says, don't you know who I am? Don't you know who I am?
I am Johnny Psychic.
I am that weirdo.
I am Johnny Dead Zone Smith.
And the guy goes, yeah, I know who you are, but I'm still, this is where the dad like really fucked up because he wants his son to be quote unquote normal. He wants him to be like the other kids. So he doesn't want to cancel something just because a psychic said so.
Yes.
So he tells Johnny has like a freak out, like, don't do it. And it's gonna break. You know,
the ice is gonna break.
So Johnny leaves and the son is like, fuck that. I'm not going out there.
Smart kid.
Super smart kid. Turns out the ice breaks and two of the boys die.
So awful.
Which is awful. And of course, his father feels terrible for that happening.
Yeah.
And Johnny, obviously feels terrible that it happened, but what could he do? He tried his best. Next thing you know, somebody's canvassing the neighborhood for Greg Stillson. And who the fuck could it be? But Claire and her dumb husband are like, we need a third party candidate. Like, no, you don't. Mm-hmm. But they're like, yeah, we do. And Johnny, and then he goes to an event and he's still says glad handling people.
Yeah.
And Johnny grabs his hand, and that's where he gets a vision of Stillson being president and telling the vice president, put your hand on this machine to start a nuclear war, and if you don't give me your hand, I'm going to hack it off your body and I'll put it on there myself.
Psycho. He's a total fucking psycho, and he's yelling about like, it's my destiny, and like, ugh.
It's really it's a mess.
Yeah.
So Johnny realizes, well, what do I got to do? I'm going to have to, and this is when he asks his doctor, would you kill Hitler if you had the chance?
Yeah, the old
Polish
go back
doctor.
the old go back in time and kill Hitler discussion that we all like to have.
Right. And his doctor says, of course, yes, I would.
Of course,
no question.
I'm very fond of that.
Yeah. So Johnny's like, all right, I got my marching orders. And so there's a big event that Stillson's going to be at. And Johnny goes to the event place early, and it's at this kind of church type barn church thing. And he's up in the balcony. Stillson's on stage. Claire's on stage with her husband and her kid.
Yeah, and their little kid.
And Johnny's like, fuck, they brought the baby? Like, who brings a baby to a political event?
It's so the politician can, kiss the baby.
Kiss the baby. So Craig Stillson's giving his speech, and Johnny at some point is going there to swing up and then shoot at Stillson. But then the thug, he slips up because, he's all stiff with his ligaments and everything.
Yeah, he misses.
And then the thug shoots at Johnny. And then Stillson, being the hero that he is, grabs the baby and holds it in front of him as a shield.
What a fucking piece of shit. Yes. Literally grabs a 10-month-old baby and is like, protect me, kid.
Is that a toddler? Yes.
Yeah, what a piece of shit. And
like it's a baby Bjorn. Just
garbage
in front of him.
Garbage person.
Like the Lion King. Sorry. Just like he puts up this baby. Like
it's the circle of life, kid. Sorry.
It's me or you.
Yeah, somebody snaps a picture of that. So yeah. So Johnny falls to the ground. He's dying, and Stillson comes over first. Like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Johnny grabs his hand, and that's where there's a picture of Stillson with that picture of him with the baby on the cover of Newsweek saying basically his career's over, and then he shoots himself.
Yeah.
And Johnny says, "You're over. You're through."
Yeah. By the way, that wouldn't end a political career now.
No, it's adorable to think it would now.
Yeah,
but,
it's downright quaint. The MAGA Republicans would be like, well, the baby wasn't that old. They weren't like super attached to that baby.
Well, it's also just a few years after Chappaquiddick too.
Right.
Yeah.
Politicians
get away with a lot of shit, let's be clear.
Very true, and even more now.
Yeah. And then Claire comes over and she's like, fuck, you're dying. I love you. Boy, choices I made. And then Johnny dies.
It's really a tragedy. The movie
is a real tragedy.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
I know this movie falls under horror, but it is. It's a horror movie, but also I'm like, it's really a tragedy. It's really sad.
Yeah. It's a tragedy. It's drama. It's a tragedy. But I enjoy it. It gives me the sads. But it's very prophetic too.
Yeah.
What's happening nowadays. I mean, a lot of people with the last election or the election before that, depending on how you feel about the elections, will tell you.
Yeah.
It reminds them of that. And it's sort of, I tell you, Walken's a great actor.
He really is. And I think they did from what I understand, the book had a lot of he's always had this gift or something, right?
Yeah. So, it was sort of like it was brought out at the amusement park and then at the car accident. Yeah.
So they had the script really cut it down to these like 3 different things with the serial killer and then the kid falling through the ice and then the stuff with the politician. That seems very smart to me. This movie's really tight.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really smart. And I like that it doesn't add some of the stuff that I think a movie might add now, where it's like he somehow figures out a way to like monetize this thing. And like, now I bet on football and I'm fucking rich and blah, blah, blah. Like Johnny Smith is himself throughout the movie. Like he is a good person who wants to do good things and sacrifices himself to save millions and millions of lives. And like, he is the same person throughout the entire movie. There's not this stupid subplot where he's like, and now I'm a fucking rich, pompous asshole because I bet on World Series games or whatever, and then Sarah has to show him, go, who are you? You're not the Johnny Smith I love, whatever. I think this movie's really good, and it's just so fucking sad. It's just so sad. It's so sad.
It's just so sad, and it's so dark. It's so cold. You feel how cold it is there. Christopher Walken in a pea coat, y'all.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. The whole movie really is from Johnny Smith's point of view. And then there's this one section where Greg Stillson is blackmailing a reporter.
Yeah.
But most of the time the movie is with Johnny Smith the whole time. And like I said, he's very likable and he's such a good person that you're really rooting for him. And, I had not seen the movie, so I didn't know how it was going to end. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. And Stillson's a real baddie and a meanie, and you're glad that, But the first time, I'll never forget the first time I saw it, and then he picks up the baby as a shield. I was like, what?
What a fucking prick.
What a douchebag.
Such a douchebag. What a bozo.
Yeah.
I read that Bill Murray was Stephen King's choice for the part of Johnny Smith.
I'm sure they were drinking buddies or something.
They must have been. I'm like, I don't see that as a good choice at all. And then there were people like Al Pacino and Richard Gere and Robert De Niro were being like thrown around. I mean, they might have been fine, but I really like Christopher Walken in this.
Walken has that, we didn't know who he was. He's unknown, and he has that spooky quality about him. When he's smiling, you're like, what's going on there?
Yeah, there's
a weirdness to him.
Yeah, there is a weirdness to him, and that's I'm like, because he's one of those actors that's just really special. He brings a little extra something to everything he does. Like, he's also in Severance, that show Severance, and it's such a small part, and he's so good in it. And have you watched that show, by the way, with Adam Scott? It's on like Apple TV.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
He's so good in it. And it was such a good reminder that like, he's not just the dude that like shows up on SNL and does Christopher Walken things and talks about more cowbell. Like, he's a really, really good actor. And he's so good on that show, and he's so good in this movie. This was such a good pick.
Yeah, I love talking about it with you.
I picked 10 other Stephen King movies that I would love to hear your quick takes on. And I tried to go a little bit, because we did Christine a couple weeks ago, which we love, with like caveman John Travolta. It's so good. So I picked up a couple of other ones. So Firestarter.
Not a great movie.
No. Did you watch the new one at all?
No.
It's not
my favorite.
Yeah, I like the old one, but I don't love it. Like, it's fine. It's fine. 1408.
Is that John Cusack?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a little wild, but
okay.
Yeah.
The Mist.
Oh, that movie will mess you up.
Okay. That's why I have not seen The Mist.
No, don't see it, Sonia.
No. I believe, I don't remember who, but somebody told me how it ends. And I was like, that movie's going to fuck me up and I'm not going to watch it. And that's the same reason I have yet to watch this other than one I'm going to mention next, Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, don't see it.
Here's the thing. I really do want to see it because I really, really like The Shining. I think The Shining is really great and I want to watch Dr. Sleep, but then I've seen, in particular, I saw a clip from Dr. Sleep on that 101 Scariest Movie Moments, and just the moment they showed from Dr. Sleep fucked me up and made me cry. It was a fucking clip from the movie of, what's his name? Jacob Tremblay, the kid from Room, being murdered. Made me fucking cry. And I was like, I don't know if I can watch that movie. I don't know if I'll make it. So it's on my list, maybe someday. How about The Running Man?
I do like The Running Man.
Me too.
It's really dumb, but it's really fun.
It's so dumb. I love The Running Man. I've seen it a gazillion times. It was on TBS like all the time. Silver Bullet.
I love Silver Bullet. I used to think it was cheesy, and then Patrick Bromley, sort of from F This Movie.
Yeah.
Sort of, I did an episode with him, and I watched it through Patrick's eyes, basically. He's done this to me before, where he recommends a movie, and I'm like, this movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
I love when someone whose opinion you really, really respect recommends a movie, and you watch a movie through their eyes, and you're like, it makes you appreciate a movie. Just, yeah. I love that. How about The Lawnmower Man? Not good.
and the story that it's based on is fucking bananas.
Yeah.
They can't film that. It's just too weird.
Yeah, and by the way, all of these movies have fans. Like somebody out there who's like super into Stephen King thinks The Lawnmower Man is the best movie for sure. Like, Stephen King fans are fascinating to me. Children of the Corn.
Really dumb, but I do enjoy watching it.
I don't think I've ever seen it. So
it's pretty cheesy.
All right. I did see this one in the theater, The Dark Tower.
Oh God, that's a terrible movie.
So terrible. It's really bad.
It's
really
so bad.
Idris Elba, so hot. The movie, so dumb. Did not like. And then the last one is Maximum Overdrive.
That is a hilariously bad movie. It's Stephen King directed it.
Yeah.
He admits that he was on coke and drunk the whole time, and it shows.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculously bad movie, but very enjoyable.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, what is your favorite Stephen King book?
The Stand. I know everybody says that.
No, I believe it's probably because it's really awesome. I've never read it.
Yeah.
But
it's long. I mean, I also love 11/22/63. I love Misery. I read in one sitting. I think that's a great book. I mean, it's messed up, but I loved it. I love the the novellas.
Yeah.
4 seasons, I think, different seasons, excuse me. It's a series of 4 novellas. That's I go back to that quite often. I have his newest one. It's a fantasy one, and everybody tells me how great it is, and I'm going to wait till the holidays.
Yeah.
And I have a couple that I'm going to read for the holidays, but those are my favorites right now. But it changes.
Yeah, and there's so many good and even great Stephen King movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have done a list of 20 really great Stephen King movies because, damn, that guy, he just fucking cranks. Do you remember the SNL skit with John Lovitz played Stephen King and he's just talking and writing at the same time? And then he's typing and doing an interview at the same time. And then he's like, I have writer's block. I'm ruined. Never mind. Just keeps going. He writes so much. His mind, it's amazing.
Do you want to hear about the top songs that were out when this movie came out?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so this movie came out. When did it release? Do you have it?
I do. October 21st, 1983.
Okay, so here are the top 10 songs. These are great.
Mm.
All right. Sheena Easton, Telephone, Long Distance Love Affair.
Sheena Easton. This is before Prince got to her.
Wait till you hear. Okay, so number 9, The Talking Heads, Burning Down the House.
I fucking love the Talking Heads. Love.
Same. Speaking of Prince, Delirious, great song.
Oh, I love old Prince songs. They're so great.
The Police, King of Pain. I love that song.
I like that one too. I used to have that on cassette.
I had that too. The Fix, One Thing Leads to Another.
That's another one. Oh my gosh. I loved all of these.
Lionel Richie, All Night Long.
I just listened to that song today on the Yacht Rock station.
Spandau Ballet, True.
Oh, total 8th grade slow dance song.
Great song. Here's another one. Kenny Rogers with Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream.
All right. We all love Dolly Parton. She's a national treasure. I have such a soft spot for Kenny Rogers.
He's amazing.
He had so many hits back in the day, and my dad loved Kenny Rogers. We had a poster of The Gambler in our house. Loved him.
Number 2, Air Supply, Making Love Out of Nothing at All.
That's total make-out music.
Oh, God, teenagers, what were you thinking back then? And then the best song ever. Number 1, Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Oh, my God, such a good one. I fucking need you tonight.
She says, I fucking need you tonight.
Do you remember the Dan Band version of that one?
No.
The Dan Band used to do it was karaoke type stuff. And they redid Total Eclipse of the Heart. And it was just I fucking need you tonight. Forever's gonna start tonight. But it was all about just dropping F-bombs and putting shit in there someplace. It's awesome. I loved it. Should we take a break and then we'll come back and talk about what we're dorking out about?
Sure.
All right. My friend, what else are you dorking out about?
I think it was the season finale, but I think I've just finished the reboot on Hulu.
Oh, how is it?
I loved it.
Okay.
Johnny Knoxville, Judy Greer. It was really, really excellent. It was on, it's about a show that was like really popular in the early 2000s, and then they reboot it. Paul Reiser's on there. It was just really, really funny. It's a half hour.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
I put it on my watch list, but I haven't started it yet.
I also been dorking out about Matthew Perry's total fuck up of his book tour.
Oh my God. All right. I've been watching like the TikToks of people who are like reading the book and telling just all the stuff he says about Keanu Reeves. What the fuck?
I don't know what he was thinking, but I mean, and yeah, the guy's had a lot of problems.
For sure.
He obviously is stuck in the 90s in his head.
Yeah.
But I guess in the 90s, there was a time when everybody thought that Keanu Reeves couldn't act and that it was fun to make fun of him. But he does realize that he's in 2022, right? It's sort of like he just puts down Keanu Reeves. He puts down Salma Hayek as his co-star.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, there's just a few people he insults, and it's just like, who the fuck are you to insult people? Like, you like got lucky.
How dare you come for Keanu Reeves?
It's just a few people and it's like, I don't know. I don't know how he's doing that, but I was just watching an interview on I guess on 2020, he did an interview with Diane Sawyer, and it's like, I mean, this guy really fucked himself up.
Could you be any more jealous?
You talk about just like the luckiest thing that can happen to you. I mean, and yeah. And I guess I just want to say thank you to I was on a show called The Animal That Changed You. And it's a podcast, and it was a really fun thing to do. And I got to talk about my cats, which is like my favorite thing ever. And I was on a Slate podcast called Big Mood, Little Mood, and where I helped Daniel Levy. We talked about relationship problems and issues, and I was able to promote my show, and it was really fun. And also, you came out to New York.
Yes!
For my book party, and we had a great time.
We got to hug awkwardly long. It was delightful.
Yes. We got to Coney Island.
Yeah, we did the whole Warriors thing. Rode the subway out to Coney Island with my son Calvin, which is something he's been wanting to do for a long time. We had such a good time. I loved coming out to Brooklyn and like meeting some people in person. It was so awesome. I had such a good time.
It was a great time.
Yeah, and Calvin did too. He loved going to Coney Island. He loved Margo.
I think he's a New Yorker. I think he's going to wind up here someday.
He might. He has amazing direction sense. He was able to navigate the subway better than I did. And he could always find our way back to the hotel. I was super impressed. He's really good. Did you watch The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
Yes. Whitney is a real mess. She really...
I don't like it when Whitney and Heather fight. It's not fun for me.
No, it's not fun. And Whitney needs to calm her tease. And who is this? What's her name?
Angie.
Angie. Jeez, this
fucking
Angie. She's ridiculous.
Yes. She's someone who probably really wants to be a housewife, right?
She does, and I think she had some problematic tweets or something like that, and that's why she's not on there, but she's really auditioning hard for the slot. She wants to be a friend of, if nothing else. And yeah, it's hard when somebody's really auditioning hard. It's kind of hard to watch, but yeah. But it's fun.
It is fun. Heather is always my favorite, just because I think she's hilarious. But I gotta say, Lisa's really growing on me. Like,
she's a great housewife.
She's a really great housewife. She's very entertaining. I think it's hilarious that like she lives in Salt Lake City and she's like, I don't really ski. And I'm like, I fully relate. Like, I am not an outdoorsy person. Like, I don't want to go hiking. I don't ski. I don't do any of those things. So she's just like, no. Her love of junk food and stuff. Also, I'm just like, no, you really should learn to cook, but whatever. That's fine. I just think her testimonials are really hilarious.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, but I mean, Heather is still number one, but Lisa is really growing on me, which surprised me. I don't think you're watching it, but are you Love is Blind season 3?
No, I'll wait a little bit, but is it good?
Yeah, it's super good. Look, I know the show is dumb. It's trash. I fucking love the show. I love it. I hate myself no, I don't really hate myself. I love the show. And when I say I'm dorking out about it, I am not joking. Like, I will read any spoiler that I can find on the internet. I am now following some of these people on TikTok and shit just to like see them, like, and see if I can decipher if they've gotten married or not. I am following other people on TikTok who are like gossiping about Love is Blind. I watched a whole series on TikTok of a relationship therapist breaking down all the different relationships on the show. I am totally obsessed with Love is Blind.
Wow.
I don't know why the show fascinates me so much. Is it because they're willing to go to such great lengths to be paired up? Maybe is part of it. The whole conceit of the show is that they're like in these pods and you can't see the other person. And so you're falling in love in theory and proposing to someone sight unseen. And then you see them and then they like whisk them away to like Malibu where all these couples get together and some of them like totally connect right away and some of them don't. But here's the thing of the show, like Love is Blind, but all these people, beautiful. They're all amazingly good looking. Like, it could just be a regular dating show. Like, they're all beautiful. There's no, like, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know how to explain it properly, but they're all insanely beautiful. And like some of the women in particular on the show are still really insecure. And like her partner, the man who proposed to her, will be like, well, this girl's a 10 and you're a 9. And I'm like, girl, run.
Yeah.
It's
red flags.
Yeah. And which makes her like really insecure. And then people are like, she's really insecure. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, he just called her a 9 and this other one a 10. Some of the men on the show too are just walking red flags where you're like, what? But there's a whole thing now where we're just waiting to see if they get married or not. I will say there's one couple here, Brennan and Alexa, where I was like, they might legit be in love. And like, they seem really sweet to each other and like have fun together. And I know that like a couple from the first season is still married. I don't think any of the couples from the second season stayed married.
No, I don't think so.
And now we're into the third season. So they are the ones where I'm like, they might actually make it. But everyone else, I'm like, but I'm still fascinated by it. It's so good. I just can't help myself. I guess that's it. That's what I'm watching. I've been traveling, so I've watched.
That's true. You've been in New York the whole time.
Yeah, Love is Blind is what entertained me on the air. Flying to New York and flying home from New York, all I did was watch Love is Blind.
But it's perfect for that, though.
It is.
I mean, yeah.
It's a perfect airplane show. It really is. And my sister and my friend Kate and I have a text thread where all we do is talk shit about Love is Blind. That's all it is. It's bringing me joy is what it's doing. Speaking of not bringing me joy, though, I'm glad we watched The Dead Zone.
We didn't talk about the TV series, so you never watched the TV series?
So I actually watched the first season of the Dead Zone and really liked it and thought Anthony Michael Hall was really good.
Yeah, same.
And I was working as a TV critic at the time. I think I had to watch so much shit back then that I just didn't continue on. Did you watch every season?
I think I did. I definitely watched the first few seasons of it. I thought they handled it really well. It was a good transition. And there was like a love triangle. There was like a reporter and him and somebody else. And it was good. It was a good cast. I know somebody who, I think, was he at USA Network? Was that, yeah, I knew somebody who worked on that show in the publicity department. They said he was super nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was good to work with. So that was nice to hear.
Yeah, he was so great on the show. I really liked it.
Yeah, so I was wondering about that. But yeah, I don't know if I want to. I feel like it was done so well the first time. I can't imagine redoing it. I don't think it needs to be redone. I think I don't feel like it needs any kind of reboot.
I think this movie holds up just fine the way it is. Like, I don't think it needs a reboot. You could just watch it, but what do we know? They remake everything now.
Yes.
But I don't think it needs one. I think that this movie feels, I mean, other than the fact that a politician could literally use a baby as a shield now from a sniper, and people would be like, I really need those tax cuts.
Well,
I don't want to pay $2 extra for gas, so
Well, I will say, I mean, Jesse Walters, is that his name? Waters. He's on Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy Pelosi's husband was, whatever you think about Nancy Pelosi, her husband was attacked with a hammer.
It's fucking bananas. Someone broke into their home and was looking for her, and her husband's in his 80s. Like, this man could have killed him.
And they were saying, people get attacked all the time with a hammer. I'm like, do they? It's not like something I hear about happening every single day. So it is like a both sides, or it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And it's very dehumanizing what's happening.
Yeah. Could you imagine what Fox News would do if somebody broke in to Mitch McConnell's house? And like,
I think they hate Mitch McConnell, don't they?
Everybody does, but I think they would still lose their shit. Like, they would jump on his side just to prove their point. But
well, I think we all should. I mean, I don't think anybody should go into.
Oh yeah, you know what? You're right. That came out wrong. That made it.
It's like, Sonia,
I am definitely not saying that people should do that. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if it was the reverse, I think Fox News would take a different stance. That's all I mean. That's not what I'm saying. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Margo, for letting. No, nobody should be breaking into anyone's homes with hammers.
No one should be beating people with hammers. Like, that's a little extreme. I mean, please.
This is stuff we have to say now? Like,
yeah,
come on, you guys. Stop beating each other up with hammers. Like, Jesus
Hammers
Christ.
is wrong.
There's only one kind of hammer, and it's MC Hammer. That's the
hammer time.
That's the only kind of hammer time that should be accepted.
But it is funny that Ted Kennedy got away with.
Oh my God!
A woman drowning, like a woman drowned under his watch, and he got away with it. So
yeah, they get away with shit.
The Kennedys got away with a lot of shit.
Yeah, they did.
Clinton got away with some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Bill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we should run for office and commit some crimes.
Why not? Yeah. Why am I living clean as a non-politician?
Boring.
Why don't I just run for office? Go crazy.
Why not?
Yeah.
If they can't prosecute us because we're running for president, we're just going to always run for president.
Exactly.
Problem solved. What is crime?
That's the Jordan Peterson part. Well, what is God? Well, first you have to talk about what, and what is, and then what is God?
Guy.
Fucking guy.
He's trash.
Trash.
Margo, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick on Twitter and Instagram, and my site is brooklynfitchick.com. And where can they find you?
Well, first we have to say you can find Margo's book wherever you get your books, and it's called Filmed in Brooklyn, and it's awesome.
Thank you.
You are welcome. You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok. If you like the show, maybe you could give us a good review. We'll be your best friend. You can email us at dorkinoutshow@gmail.com. We take requests, so please send us your requests. dorkinoutshow.com. We're also on Twitter, and I'm trying to clean up our Twitter, and I'll try to use it more, and I'll try to pay attention to our Facebook. But actually, I don't know how much longer we're going to be on Twitter. We'll see.
We're just going to see.
We're going to see what comes of Elon Musk's Twitter.com, but we'll see. For now, you can find us there. I wish Johnny Smith would hold Elon Musk's hand and tell us what's going to happen.
Poor Johnny. I think he...
Poor Johnny. Hasn't he suffered enough? I wouldn't make him touch Elon Musk.
No.
Gross.
Ugh.